successfully hosting the APEC ELM. Thank you.
Yes, we will now receive questions. So we will try to give greatest amount of opportunities considering the region and the language. And in order to ensure that, we will receive one question from one media outlet only. So in the middle, in the front, is there a journalist from that we can receive from the front? Yes, I am Han Jae-jun, and I would like to congratulate you on the successful hosting of APEC. There is one question I would like to ask. Now, with APEC, you have once again reiterated the commitment for peace on the Korean Peninsula. However, North Korea, the DPRK, is still not responding. You have emphasized the role of pacemaker. So how will you be supporting efforts such as the North Korea-U.S. dialogue? Yes. Well, thank you very much for evaluating the outcome of the 2025 APEC as being successful. The Korean Peninsula issue is always complicated and difficult, but what is true is that the safety and the peace of the Korean Peninsula is very important for the peace of the global community and peace and stability. Well, this also needs strong deterrence, but at the same time, ultimately what we need is dialogue, compromise, coexistence, and the commitment for all that. And so, President Kim Dae-jung had pursued the sunshine policy, and he mentioned that in order to have someone remove their coat, it's not easy to do it with strong wind. Rather, it is better to have a warm sun out and have that person willingly take off his or her coat. So deterrence and dialogue, compromise, persuasion, and coexistence, and prosperity and hope. We need these in order to ensure that peace and stability is possible. And peace is not something that we can achieve through oppression or through war, and also with mass destruction. If we win still, what meaning would that be? So I do believe that not having to fight and creating that peace is indeed the most strongest, sturdy peace and security. And we are trying to actually practice this. So even if North Korea, when it comes to South Korea, the South Korean government continues to be suspicious or be angry or act in a hostile manner, still, the suspicion and the mindset of confrontation, or the way to see the situation in a confrontational manner, well, in order to change that kind of a position or perspective, we need time. We cannot change this overnight. So we have to proactively make efforts for peace so that the North Korean side can feel safe and trust South Korea. So we need to take on proactive measures, and we are doing what we can. And such efforts will continue. And North Korea has used some hostile expressions. But we do not think that this is the end. It is impossible. But we believe that this is actually expressions that may come out in the process of change. So I think that, however, that the level of their expressions have actually been moderated. So we need to create the circumstances and request for dialogue and also create the atmosphere for dialogue. But that is something that the Korean government cannot do on its own. The South Korean government cannot do it on its own. There are members from press from the overseas, so you may not know this, but the Korean Peninsula is still technically at war. We are at a standstill at war in terms of our law at this moment, but the party to the signing of the ceasefire was the U.S., not the Republic of Korea. And so the security regime protection or guarantee perceived by North Korea, they believe that it has to come from the United States. And so because of this mindset, there has to be an important role by the U.S., and then there is also the role that can be played by China and also Russia. But we have to acknowledge the role that can be played by the United States. And also, if through dialogue, the U.S. and the DPRK improve relations, then also we can improve our inter-Korean relations. So we will make efforts to have direct dialogue with North Korea. But if President Trump wishes to serve as a peacemaker on the Korean Peninsula, then to support him in playing this role is what can actually help ensure security and peace on the Korean Peninsula. And during the summit talks this time, I had said that I will continue to play the role of a peacemaker to support him as a peacemaker. And I do believe that this will happen. Thank you.
Next question, please raise your hand and wait for a microphone. We will accept a question from the left side. Yes, we have from the front row, the gentleman with his hands raised high. A microphone, please. I am from China. What is your prospect about the development of the China-Korea relations, and what should be some areas to strengthen cooperation? That is indeed a very important question. Thank you for your question. The relationship between Korea and PRC on the outside does not have any particular challenges, but in reality, I don't believe that it is completely normalized and it has not completely recovered yet. What we are striving for is not simple recovery, but rather finding the path for helping one another. We need to have pragmatic relations that are recovered, and we also need to strengthen pragmatic relations. That is the focal point for the discussions. The most important area is obviously economy. Korea and China are competing in many areas, but at the same time, we are cooperating in many others. When we talk about the relationship between two states, it's quite complex. There are aspects that are tangible and that are not tangible, and so competition and cooperation will always go hand in hand. That is the same for China and the U.S. They may look like there is rising tension, but there are also trade and cooperation and support between the two. That is the same for the relationship between Korea and China. We are geographically close, and our economic dependence and cooperation runs deep. And therefore, although there may be small hindrances along the way, we will surely overcome these obstacles for better changes and bigger benefits for all. The government of Korea and China both exist for improving the lives of our people and to create a nation of hope for the people. For China and for Korea, we hope to create cooperation in many areas that will help both nations, especially in the economy, but further for peace and stability in Northeast Asia. We will continue our cooperation in these areas, and we will continue to make opportunities for dialogue. Related to peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula, I do believe that the role of China is very important. We need to stabilize the Korean Peninsula, to stabilize Northeast Asia, and I believe that is in line with the national interests of China. We look forward to the great role to be played by China. We have just heard from China, a neighboring country. Maybe we can go to Japan, then we will accept a question from Japan and then go to a non-Asian country. Maybe we can choose a lady instead of a gentleman. Do we have a lady journalist from Japan? Yes, the person in red.
I will give an opportunity later. Why don't we take a question from a journalist from Japan? Yes, I understand that there is someone over there. Are you from Japan? No? So, and then we will go on to a non-Asian media outlet. Yes, thank you very much. I am from Yomiuri Nakagaya and from Japan. And I have one question for you. So, Prime Minister Takaichi held a summit with you on the 31st. And in Korea, there is the saying, 극우, or radical conservative. But how did you feel after you met her in person? Did you feel that you can carry on good relations with her? Korea, the Republic of Korea and Japan, the bilateral cooperation between the two countries has been noted to be not an option, but essential. So, however, there are still many challenges between the two economies. And also, so I ask for your frank opinion on your impression of the summit with Prime Minister Takaichi. So what was your impression? What did you feel after the summit? And also, how do you plan to carry on the bilateral relations? I would like to ask for your frank opinion. Thank you. Yes, well, the politicians say that they speak frank, but in many cases they do not speak frankly. So the Japanese journalist asked about the relations between Japan and the Republic of Korea, and perhaps you had concerns that perhaps the direction might not go in a direction that you anticipate. But I would like to say this. Now, when President Lee, I was elected, I think that perhaps in Japan, or the extreme liberals might have, in the Japanese media, thought that we're in trouble. But I believe that Prime Minister Takaichi, well, I think that she has different perspectives when she is now a leader of a cabinet of the nation, and it's the same for me. When I was leading the opposition party, my perspective was different from now when I'm leading the country, because it is different when you're representing a section versus when you're representing the whole. And now I think that Japan is not that concerned about President Lee, is it not? Yes. So I think that Prime Minister Takaichi, well, it wasn't that I was totally free from concerns, but after I met with the Prime Minister and I had a dialogue with her, I could see that she is an excellent politician and we share many views. So there is an expression that goes, Korea-Japan relations is very important, and there are many areas that we can cooperate. And I do agree with that. And I have said this on numerous cases. If there's a problem, we must solve it. If there is a challenge, we must cooperate to overcome the challenge. Japan and South Korea must do this. And politics, well, basically, politics, of course, sometimes it's about implementing your personal views, but more than that, in many cases, it's about for the betterment and a brighter future for the nation. And I think this is universal. So to tell you my frank opinion, I received a very good impression. All of my concerns went away. And I do believe that going forward, we will be able to cooperate and go into a better direction in terms of a relationship with Japan. We can look into the current challenges and also go together for the future so that our two countries can actually help one another. And I thought that I should meet her more frequently. So the next time, I said that based on the spirit of shuttle diplomacy, I should visit Japan, but perhaps I should go to the Nara prefecture. And she actually was delighted to hear that. So I look forward to the Japan-Korea relations.
Well, we will need to ask you for your cooperation in order to give more opportunities to journalists. We will go to a non-Asian country, and perhaps we can have gender balance with a lady journalist. We will choose from a non-Asian country. Yes, towards the front here. We will accept one more question from a non-Asian state. We will accept another question from a non-Asian country from this side. APEC is a platform where many economies participate. All economies have their sovereignty, and each economy has their own goals and vision. Under that condition, we are looking for common challenges to discuss and also look for ways of cooperation. That is the goal of APEC. The tariff policies of Mexico, I have seen it in the media, but I don't know the details of the tariff policies of Mexico at this moment off the top of my head. Depending on the national needs of Mexico, I am sure that you're pursuing your own policies. I am sure that it cannot happen unilaterally by Mexico. It will go through consultation with other countries. And I am sure that national interest will be coordinated in that process. The international relationship is not one that can be dominated by any one state, and so no state can have a result that is advantageous just for them unless they go to war and win the war. The tariff issue of Mexico is actually an issue that probably was derived from the tariff issues of the US. It's all a very complicated, tangled series of issues, and so it won't be solved overnight. It will take time and communication. We hope that you will be patient with us.
As we have announced, this press conference is to end until 1:30. Right now, we are at 1:29, and so we will receive one last question, and perhaps the president can choose the person to raise the question. Yes. Well, I think that Korean journalists were not given many opportunities, only one opportunity. So I would like to give an opportunity to journalist Chang. Yes, reporter Chang Yun-sung, please hand the microphone to her. So this is also based on gender. Yes, thank you. I'm Chang Yun-sung. Thank you, President Lee, for giving me this opportunity. Yes, actually, I chose you. Yes, thank you. So from the Korean perspective, with the martial law and also on December 3rd and what followed, well, there was the protest of light, but the fact that this event was successfully hosted after 4 months, and the fact that so much effort was put into this really touches the heart of the Korean people. For example, the Hwangnam bread and all of the snacks that were provided, quite impressive. And also the president, as you were preparing for the APEC meetings, can you tell us what was most memorable? And also what was most challenging? If there was one very challenging moment, can you please share your experience? Yes, thank you very much for that question. I think you gave me an opportunity to promote what we have done. These large-scale global events, whenever these events are over, there are always some talk about the shortcomings. But I think that up till now, based on what we have researched, there were not those big challenges. We will make sure that this is successfully carried out until the end. There were 10 prime ministers who participated, and also many leaders who participated. And so there were many security issues or communication issues that we had to deal with, but everyone really prepared very well. I don't think that there was quite much of a memorable moment, but we really focused on the security and safety, and I think that we did a good job. So what we were concerned about was not only the infrastructure, but also the traffic issue. But the traffic, luckily, was not a big problem as we had feared. And so I would like to take more time to receive your questions, but preparations have to be made, and I also have talks with President Xi. So perhaps I can receive one last question. Yes, why don't we give one more opportunity to another person?
We will take one last question. The person in white in the middle. Last evening, as I was enjoying the entertainment at last night's dinner next to President Xi, there was a series of butterflies flying over her heads inside the dinner venue, and it felt really noisy. Butterflies are usually very quiet as they fly. And so to President Xi, I said, butterflies usually fly very quietly, but these butterflies are very loud, obviously because they were running on motors. So I told him, I hope that you can have actual butterflies that don't make sounds that fly during your dinner next year. President Xi answered, why don't I come up with singing butterflies? The reason why I mention this is because of connection. APEC, based on the past achievements, continues to create a better tomorrow. Next year, China will be hosting APEC in Shenzhen, and I am confident that it will become even more successful than the APEC here in Gyeongju. Over the next year, we will see more development in the Asia-Pacific, which will be reflected in APEC 2026. And we also look forward to a new future even beyond APEC 2026. With President Xi and the people of China, I am confident that you will prepare well for APEC 2026, and I very much look forward to meeting you again in Shenzhen. Thank you.
Yes, so this will conclude the 2025 APEC Economic Leaders Meeting press conference. Thank you very much. We will now begin the 2025 APEC Economic Leaders Meeting press conference. First of all, the chair of the 2025 APEC, President Lee Jae-myung of the Republic of Korea, will deliver his opening remarks. Members of the press